about that. I'm just unmuting everybody right now.
Okay.
All right, give me a moment. Okay. And Lisa, I do believe your phone number is ending, looks like 5249.
Yes, Lisa.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Hi, we can hear you.
Okay.
All right, Stuart. See you there.
Emmanuel.
Hello. Give me one moment. I have to send the Zoom meeting information over to Flo. Okay. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So it looks like
Yep.
we have 5 members present. Let me give me a moment. Let me just. Okay. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. So calling to order the meeting of the Locke Management Corporation, also known as Locke Management Association, hosted by Zoom on November 14th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. I'm going to call roll to establish a quorum. We did receive notifications that Member Wu, Member Giles, and Member Kuo will not be present today. So I'm going to call roll with those remaining members. Member Lum?
Here.
Member Kirk?
Here.
Member Prasa?
Here.
Member Walthall?
Here.
Member Heath?
Here.
All right, let the record reflect we have my 5 members present, establishing a quorum.
Manuel, I just have one question. The agenda has not been revised since Friday. Is that correct?
That is correct, Member Kirk.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Now let the member reflect also that there are 5 vacancies on the board with 8 members currently seating. All right.
Did you say 5 vacancies?
That is correct. Okay. So let's go ahead and we're moving on to item number 1. This is election of chairperson pro tem. This is an action item. Quick few notes from the clerk on this. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to formally elect leadership to conduct LMAC business. In light of that, it is appropriate to discuss the removal of current chair and the documents received from the CACS Foundation on Saturday, November 12th. The CACS dismissed Mr. Douglas Shaw from the CACS Foundation and as a CACS representative to the LMCA by a unanimous vote. If CACS wants to nominate a new representative, they must submit an informal written nomination. The purpose of the pro tem role is to enable a body to run a meeting when a chair or vice chair is not appointed. Once a vice chair is elected, the vice chair shall take over and run the meeting. When the officer elections conclude, then the vice chair shall be the liaison between the LMCA and the county. This will help to avoid Brown Act violations. As a reminder, only LMAC board members are eligible to serve in the executive officer positions.
Manuel, I don't mean to interrupt you, but have you started recording yet?
Apologies about that, Mr. Frost. I have not started the recording.
Could you please start that and then repeat
course.
what you just said?
Of course.
Thank you.
Recording in progress.
All right, so
Manny,
gonna-
did you read the
The
meeting
announcement.
procedures and all
I
of that?
I did
Okay,
not.
yeah.
So now that we're recording, I will go ahead and start from the beginning. And if you guys just give me a little bit of patience, I will again establish a quorum and read everything into the record. Okay. So, calling to order the meeting of the Locke Management Corporation, also known as Locke Management Association, hosted by Zoom on November 14th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. I will now establish a quorum. So, let's establish a quorum, okay? Again, Member Lum,
Here?
Member Kirk,
Here.
Member Prasa,
Here?
Member Walthall,
Here?
Member Heath,
Here.
and let the record reflect that there are 5 members present, establishing a quorum. And additionally, the clerk of the board's office did receive correspondence from members Wu, Kuo, and Giles, letting us know of their absence today. So the following is the public comment procedures. In compliance with directives of the county, state, and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, this meeting is live streamed and closed to in-person public attendance. Meeting procedures are subject to change pursuant to guidelines related to social distancing and minimizing person-to-person contact. Members of the public will be given 3 minutes to make a public comment and are limited to make 1 public comment per agenda item or off-agenda matter. Please be mindful of the public comment procedures to avoid being interrupted or muting while making a public comment. To make a public comment, dial 669-254-5252 and enter webinar ID 161-306-9523, or join the Zoom meeting by clicking on the link listed on the meeting agenda. The clerk will unmute each caller to make a comment for each agenda item or off-agenda matter. Public comments will remain open until the public comment period is closed for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter. Written comment may be sent by email to boardclerk@saccounty.gov, or you may send a comment by mail to 700 H Street, Suite 2450, Sacramento, California 95814. Please include the meeting date and agenda item.
Manuel,
Hi, Member Walthall.
my hand is up, so I
Yes,
figured this would be the appropriate time regarding public comment.
Yes.
Executive Director Prasa had sent a letter to Sacramento County and has made numerous phone calls regarding agenda item that he wanted placed in the agenda package. He sent this on Thursday, November 10th. It was not placed in the agenda package, but I did notice that there was agenda items for the package sent in what looks like today. In fact, over 200 pages were published. What I'm wondering is, why are those items being published and Sacramento County is not publishing a Locke Management Corporation Executive Director's agenda items?
So, Member Walthall, on that particular item, the information provided to Mr. Prosser by June Powell's Mays is outdated and no longer appropriate to include or discuss relative to agenda item number 2. That was the conversation I had with County Council. Member Prosser was requesting that the material be uploaded to the system as material for the item.
Can you hear me, Manuel?
Hi, Member Kirk.
Yes. Why are we doing public comment? I thought we were going to elect a chairperson.
We will.
Tim. Okay, I would prefer we do public comment in the order that it's put on the agenda.
Okay.
So if we can start with the election of chairperson for Tim. I'm at a gas station right now because I was halfway home. So if we could take care of the first 2 items, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, reading item 1 into the record, election of chairperson pro tem. The following are clerk notes to read into the record. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to formally elect leadership to conduct LMAC business. In light of that, it is appropriate to discuss the removal of the current chair and the documents received from the CACS Foundation on Saturday, November 12th. The CACS dismissed Mr. Douglas Shaw from the CACS Foundation and as a CACS representative to the LMAC by a unanimous vote. If CACS wants to nominate a new representative, they must submit a formal written nomination. The chair pro tem role is to enable a body to run a meeting when the chair or vice chair is not appointed. Once the vice chair is elected, the vice chair shall take over and run the meeting. When the officer elections conclude, then the vice chair shall be the liaisons between the LMAC and the county. This will help to avoid Brown Act violations. As a reminder, only LMAC board members are eligible to serve in executive officer positions. The
So
following
then
is
you need an action. You need an action to nominate a chairperson.
the following is a process to nominate the chairperson pro tem. This is done through an election and a vote. So the process goes as follows. The clerk will open nominations for the pro tem chair. A second is not required to open nominations. Members may self-nominate or nominate another member of the LMCA. The clerk will record the nominees on the nominations and elections spreadsheet. The clerk will ask each member to vote for one nominee and will record the vote on the spreadsheet. The clerk will tabulate the votes and announce the results of the pro tem chair election. If there is a tie vote, a runoff will be conducted between the candidates who tied.
You can keep reading, Annie.
Repeat the steps repeat the process for each position. So my apologies, that was for the next item. So I'm opening the nominations for the pro tem chair.
I nominate that I nominate Honey Lum.
Honey Lum, do you accept or decline the nomination?
I accept.
Okay.
Just, Maddie, do you mind?
Of course, Lo.
I'd like to address the board, if that would be okay with the board members.
Yes.
I'll take questions before we move forward. But what I'd like to do is go in a particular order so that there's order to what we're doing. And so what I plan to do is go down the list. As you can see, I have all of the members listed on this nominations and elections template. This is an open nomination and election, and it will also go into the record, and this will also tabulate the actual outcome. So each person could nominate themselves, or you could nominate another member, and obviously the member that you nominate would need to accept that nomination. And as I move through the nominations and elections template, if you are nominated or you accept, I will highlight your name where it says volunteers. This means that you have nominated yourself or someone has volunteered you to be nominated and you've accepted. I will actually highlight your name in yellow. Once we go through this list from member Wu, Lum, Giles, Kirk, Prasa, and Walhort, and did I say that right? I'm so sorry. Walhall, thank you. And Heath and Cool, I will go down this list. If the person is not here and they're nominated, we could leave them on the nomination. They would be able to make that decision when they arrive at the next meeting if they don't want to sit in that role, and we could conduct another election. However, I'd like to keep it in order and go down this. Obviously, Ms. Kirk already made her nomination, but just for the purpose of keeping order, I'd like to do that to give every member an opportunity to self-nominate or nominate someone else. Once we actually have all of this established in terms of who is nominating, I will then move down this dark blue column and I will actually call for each member to either vote on those who are nominated. To make it easier, once I have this spreadsheet in order, I will hide anyone who is not nominated. I will hide that column. And I will also hide the vacant seats. You have 5 vacant seats, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These columns will also be hidden. And so it is clear to the public who is the nominees. It is clear to the public how each person is voted, and the tabulation will be down here at the bottom, which is the score. And whoever gets the highest score, since there's only 1 seat, that person would be the pro tem chair. If there is a tie, we will run a runoff, and we will go to this second nomination and election template, and we will conduct that runoff with whoever has tied. So I'll go ahead and move on to questions. So Member Prasa,
Yes.
you have your hand up, sir.
I'm sorry. I must have hit that earlier in the.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. Let me remove it here. I must have hit it when I was logging on. I apologize.
No problem. And Member Walthall?
My hand is lowered.
Oh, I still see your hand, sir. Let me see if I could change it for you. I don't think I can. I don't think I have the ability to do that.
Oh, well,
Oh, there it is. It's off now. Oh, it just went back up.
well, I just pressed lower hand.
You want to press it one more time? There we go. Thank you. Any other member have a question? Okay. So we will go ahead and start with the pro tem chair. This is the nomination piece. I do already have Member Kirk. Let the record reflect that Member Wu is not present. Member Lum, do you want to nominate anyone or yourself?
Nominate myself.
Thank you. Member Giles.
Member Giles is not present.
Oh, thank you. And Member Kirk, you already nominated Member Lum. Member Prasa.
I don't wish to nominate anyone else.
Thank you. And Member Walthall.
Member Walthall, I believe you might be muted.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Yes.
Okay, I don't wish to nominate anyone else.
Okay, so we will
There's
give
still
you.
Eric.
We still have one more member, Flo, that's Member Heath.
Member Heath, forgive me, please.
That's no problem. All is forgiven. I don't wish to nominate anyone else.
Okay, and Member Kuo is absent, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, let me mark that down over here. So, Giles. Member Kuo is absent.
Yes.
Thank you. And there was one more other person who was that.
Beryl Wu.
Thank you. Now just give me 1 second so I can hide all of these columns and make it really simple. And we will go down. So Member Wu is absent. Member Lum, am I pronouncing your name right? Is it Lum or Lum?
Lum.
Lum. Member Lum?
I vote for myself.
Thank you. Member Kirk?
I nominated Lum, so I vote for Lum.
I still have to ask. Member Prasa?
I vote yes.
Member Walthall?
I vote yes.
Member Heath?
Yes, I vote in favor of Director Lum.
Okay, thank you. And I think we said Member Kuo was absent. I just want the record to reflect that. And so by a result of 5 votes and none opposed, Member Lum is the pro tem chair for tonight. And so we will let the record reflect that. And so I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second so I can save this. And then we'll get that uploaded into the record. Congratulations, Member Lum.
Thank you. Thank you all.
So Member Lum, I'd like to also point out that for the officer elections, we will basically repeat this process for each one of the seats. And at this time, I'll ask Manuel if he would like me to conduct that, or would you prefer to do it?
I can do this, Flo. We need to read item 2 into the record next, but I believe do we have to have public comment on this item?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see, I do see a hand raised for, looks like Martha Esch. Martha, were you looking to make a public comment on this item? Hello, Martha. It looks like you're muted. Were you looking to make a public comment on to item number 1 of the agenda? Martha, if you're on a phone, to unmute, you would have to hit *6 in order to participate and make your public comment. It looks like you are muted. It does not look like I'm getting a response from her. Is there anybody else wishing to make a comment on item number 1? Please raise your hand and I will ask to unmute you. Okay, I don't see any other additional hands raised. So let the record reflect that I have no public comment for item number 1 of the agenda.
Annie, will you be sharing your screen, or would you like me to pull up the string and you can run the actual nomination and election, then I can fill in the fields for you, or would you like to do that on your own?
I'd like to give it a shot if you don't mind, Flo.
No problem.
All right, so give me a moment. I'm setting up right here. All right, can everybody see my screen here? This is for the next item. This is going to be item number 2, nomination and annual election of Locke Management Corporation, aka Association Officers, for Vice Chairperson, Secretary, and Treasurer. All right, so, okay. Does anybody wish to, let's go down the line. Member Lum, do you wish to nominate anybody for the vice chair role?
There's a couple of questions, Manny.
Oh, sorry. When I'm on this, but I cannot see.
Hang on a second. Let me make sure sorry, it's on the other side.
Oh, it's on participants, it looks like, yes.
It looks like Member Kirk has her hand raised.
No, I'm good. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
And then Ms. Esch, we'll have to come to you when we're at public comments. Okay.
Manuel, do you have to fill in Daryl Wu is absent, like it previously begun?
Yes, I have it right here. Elizabeth.
I see.
Actually, on the volunteers, you should also do that because it's a true reflection. So
just hide right here?
No.
Oh.
Just undo. So click on that field, Daryl Wu, and right here in the top, right at the very top, you see Daryl Wu in the text box up at the very, very top.
Yeah.
There, yeah, just type in absent. And you might want to just go ahead and do that for Giles and Koo. There you go. You'll hide everyone at the last step.
Okay. So, Member Lum, do you wish to nominate yourself or anyone else for the vice chair?
I'll nominate myself.
Member Kirk, do you wish to nominate anyone or yourself for the vice chair position?
No.
Member Prasa, do you wish to nominate anyone or yourself for the vice chair position?
No.
Member Walthall, would you wish to nominate yourself or anyone else for the vice chair position?
No.
And Member Heath, would you like to nominate yourself or anyone else for the vice chair position?
I do not.
Okay. Give me a moment while I update this list.
And while he's updating that list, for the record, I'd like to point out that Member Wu did submit something in writing stating that he was not interested in that seat as well.
Okay, we'll now connect the vote. Member Lum,
Yes.
Member Kirk,
For vice president,
for Vice Chair.
vice chair, no, I don't wish to nominate anyone.
Oh, no,
Are
this
we
is for the
voting
vote.
for some-
We're voting.
We're voting. We are voting
Okay,
for.
I
Member
don't
Lum.
think can board members hold two executive positions?
The pro tem chair position is just until this position is elected. Once this position is elected, as he read into the record, they would take over. Her position was only for really basically item 1.
No.
Member Prosser,
Yes, vote yes.
Member Walthall,
Yes.
Member Heath.
Yes.
Okay, let the record reflect 4 votes for. I'm sorry, Flo.
Manny, on Member Heath, you have vacant next to his name in red.
My apologies. There we go. Okay. So with 4 votes, Member Lum has been voted to the position of Vice Chairperson of the LMCA.
And
So that's a quorum.
This was just through an election, so it was
Okay,
a
so-
majority. It was a majority.
Oh, so now we're going for a majority. Okay, I just need to understand that. Okay.
Yeah, I thought that we had explained that. Sorry if it wasn't clear to you.
No.
Yep. So that let the record reflect that that's 4 yeses, and out of all of the members who are present, there's 5. That's a majority vote. Member Lum, congratulations on your vice chair appointment.
My hand was
Thank
up.
you.
Member Walthall, you have a comment to make?
Is this the appropriate place for public comment?
Yes.
Well, we can have public comment when we open up public comment. Right now, we do have board members that are currently having a discussion and deliberating.
Yeah, board members can make comments at any time.
Okay. Since Florence and Manuel are here, I think it might be good to clarify the subject of one person holding 2 seats regarding this Director Kirk's question. I think it's been clarified that a director can hold 2 seats except being chairman and treasurer. Am I correct in that?
I think you are. I'd have to take a quick peek. But in any instance, in this case, if you could confirm that, Manny, or I can confirm that once I can. Is
Could I interject
possible
something?
for someone to mute themselves? I hear a car.
Sorry.
Florence, could I say something about this?
Yes.
I've discussed this with June Powles-Mays at length. And the only 2 positions that cannot be held by one person are chair and treasurer.
Got it.
So there's any other combination other than those 2 can be held by the same person. Chair and treasurer cannot.
Thank you, Member Prosser, for confirming that.
Sure.
I don't even have your bylaws or your rules in front of me, but I do recall that a little bit vaguely. But I do want to point out for the record again, if it was not clear, that the pro tem position essentially is only for tonight. It was just in order to create a position to move forward to item 2, because it's not appropriate for the clerk to call the items into the record and call for the vote. It would be more appropriate for leadership to do that. So that was a temporary position for tonight. It expires once the formal body of the executive officers are elected, that position expires.
I'd also like to comment too that the previous chairman, although he elected himself or whatever, was the chairman and the secretary. It didn't go through a formal process. So this issue of a person, in case this issue comes up later in our elections, we do have precedent on this board for one person having two positions. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Walthall. We'll make sure that's noted in the record.
Do we have any other directors that wish to make a comment? Okay. So we're moving on to the next portion of the elections. This is to elect.
Manuel.
Yes.
I do
Hello.
have a comment on item number 1. It does not state that it's temporary. The election of the chairman, it has in the action item, it does not state that it's a temporary action. I just want to clarify that.
This is pro
Okay.
tem.
And it's,
That item number 1 does not state that it was temporary.
but I think that when Manuel actually made his opening statements, that
Right, but it should have been noted in the action item. I'm just for clarification.
It'll be noted on the action summary, so there is no violation of a Brown Act, Member Kurt.
Okay, thank you.
This is Eric. Excuse me, Eric Heath. I would also note by its very name, the pro tem is a temporary position, and once yes, Florence, to your earlier explanation about the election of an actual officer, that temporary position would have no need to exist, and so would go away. It's like definitionally not.
Thank you, Member Heath.
Thank you, Member
really
Heath.
appreciate your clarification and support and understanding. Now you may want to run through and see if there's any public comments.
Do we do that after we finish the election, the whole item, or do we do that in?
Yeah.
No, you can take public comments before or after. It should be considered by the board if they, if someone has any issues or whatever, it might.
Okay. Do we have anybody looking to make a public comment? Let's see. Martha Esch, I still see your hand raised. Do you wish to make a public comment?
Manuel, is there something you have to activate in order for others other than we on the board here to be able to speak?
It's just as simple as clicking allow to talk. Right now, Martha Esch is not replying. I do have Deborah Mendel. Ms. Mendel, were you looking to make a public comment on this item?
No, I was just not sure that I would be able to speak at the next item because I didn't see the microphone. Thank you very much.
Got it. Okay.
I'll get out of your way.
Thank you.
You may want to announce how to raise your hand by phone to Member Esch.
Let's see. So the command for phone, Zoom, public comment. I know how to unmute is *6. To raise your hand, what is it? What is the command again? Is it *9?
You know what? I don't know, Manny. I thought you had all that dialed down.
My apologies about that. Give me a moment. Yes, it is *9. So Martha, I do show your hand is raised. If you were looking to make a public comment, you can hit *6 to unmute. Otherwise, it's *9 to raise your hand. So it looks like we don't have anybody else with their hand raised to make public comment on the item. So we can continue with the election of the executive officers. The next would be the secretary position. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to run through the same process. So give me a moment. Can everybody see my screens correct?
Yes.
Okay. So noting that Member Wu is absent, Member Lam, do you wish to nominate anybody for the secretary position or nominate yourself?
I'll nominate
Apologies.
Stuart Walthall.
Stuart Walthall. Member Walthall, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Okay. Member Kirk, do you wish to nominate yourself or anyone else for the secretary position?
No.
Member Prasa, do you wish to nominate yourself or anybody else for the secretary position?
No.
Member Walthall, do you wish to nominate yourself or anybody else for the secretary position?
No.
Member Heath, do you wish to nominate yourself or anybody else for this position?
I do not.
Okay, and let the record reflect that we have members Wu, Giles, and Kuhl absent with 5 vacancies. I'll give you a moment while I update the list. Okay, I will now take a roll call vote. So, Member Lum,
Yes.
Member Kirk,
No.
Member Prasa,
Yes.
Member Walthall,
Yes.
Member Heath.
Yes.
All right. So let the record reflect that we have 4 votes for Stuart Walthall to be the Secretary of the LMCA. Congratulations, Member Walthall, on your election.
And 1 no by Member Kurt.
And 1 no by Member Kirk. My apologies. All right. Give me a moment. I'm just giving a quick update on this.
Did you send the other spreadsheet, Annie?
Yes.
Okay. I got it. I will save this.
Okay. Do we have any directors that wish to make a comment at the moment? Okay. Give me a moment. I have to prep the spreadsheet for the next executive officer position of treasurer.
Public comment?
I do not see any hands raised, but if anybody wishes to make a public comment, please hit *9 to raise your hand or raise your hand in the Zoom meeting, and I can unmute you. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes.
Yes.
So the next election would be for the executive officer position of treasurer. Member Lum, do you wish to nominate yourself or anybody for the position?
I'll nominate Joe Prasa.
Member Prasa, do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I do.
Member Kirk, do you wish to nominate yourself or anybody else for the position?
Remember Kirk? No.
Member Prasa, do you wish to nominate yourself or anybody else for the position?
No.
Member Walthall, do you wish to nominate yourself or anybody else for the position?
No.
Member Heath, do you wish to nominate yourself or anybody else for the position?
I do not.
Thank you. I'll let the record reflect that we do have 3 absences tonight, and Member Wu, Giles, and Kuhl. Okay, I will now conduct a roll call vote for the election of the treasurer position. Member Lum,
Yes.
Member Kirk, Member Kirk, Member Kirk, we will come back to you if you can hear me. Member Prosser?
For,
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Member Kirk?
this is for, I'm sorry, I was driving. This is for,
The executive officer position of treasurer. We have the nomination of Joe Prosser. We
yes,
can vote. Okay. Member Walpole?
yes,
Yes.
Member Wolf? Yes, thank you. Member Heath?
Yes.
Okay. Let the record reflect with 5 votes, all yes. Member Prosser has been elected to the executive officer position of treasurer. Congratulations, Member Prosser.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Member Process.
Thank you.
Well, to all of you on your executive officer elections, I'm so happy for you all.
Thank you.
Give me a moment. I'm just making some quick updates. There we go. Okay. Flo, I've sent over the last sheet to you.
Thank you. I'll get those all saved and try to get those uploaded tonight.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Do we have any comments from directors? Member Kirk, I see your hand raised.
yes. So there was no executive chairman elected tonight, correct?
That is correct. We do not have the chairperson position listed on the agenda for nomination.
Okay, so we withheld that because,
So that we were sent an agenda requesting these positions be added to the agenda in order to vote to nominate and elect.
okay, and who sent you that request?
That was sent by Member Prosser.
Okay, so, and at that time, the rest of us could not communicate with the county regarding what was to be on the agenda. I just want to clarify this because I had no information that we could request items on the agenda because of the
I can't-
situation we're in.
Lisa, Member Kirk, I can't confirm that right now in terms of who or what authority or when it was sent. So we'll follow up with you on that.
Okay, so yeah, because it was for the last few months, none of us thought we could contact you to put things on the agenda. So I just want to clarify that in what you received did not include electing a chairman tonight, so there's no chairman to communicate with.
Well, right
Correct.
now we have the
a
vice chair.
chairperson.
Okay, we have a vice chair, but no chairperson. Okay, so and that is because of the suspension of member Hsia.
We'll get back to you on that.
Okay, so is he still holding that position?
No, we already addressed that.
Okay,
Were
so
you here for
as
the
a
first
board,
item when he spoke to that whole process? I'm going to read it again.
Right.
Into the record. Let me read it again.
that's okay. I just want to verify that he was removed by the county because of the suspension.
Are you talking about as of tonight, why he's not on your
Yeah,
board? Because that would not be true.
Yeah.
So let me read back into the record, because I thought that what we read into the record was very explicit and clear, but I'm going to read it again.
Well, I think where my confusion is that we didn't vote on a chairperson. So am I to understand that he is still holding that position?
The chairperson seat is vacant. So I'm going to read into the record what we already read into the record to make it clear for you and for anyone else who might be unclear.
Okay.
The purpose of tonight's meeting is to formally elect leadership to conduct the LMA business. In light of that, it is appropriate to discuss the removal of the current chair and the documents received from the CACS Foundation on Saturday, November 12th. The CACS dismissed Mr. Douglas Hsia from the CACS Foundation and as a CACS representative to the LMAC by a unanimous vote. Is that clear? The county
That is
did
clear,
not do
but-
anything.
Right, but as a board, I thought that we could have it as a discussion, but it wasn't put on the agenda. So just for clarification, the board has never removed Chairman Hsia from the seat. We did not take an action on that. I'm just clarifying that. Thank you.
So this is Eric. If I can just make the comment that I believe that Douglas Shaw was serving as a director on the LMAC by virtue of his having been appointed to that by the CACS, and with the removal of his membership with CACS and also their vote to, I guess, revoke his role as the representative on the LMAC, there was no need for the LMAC to take any action since the that role is essentially was vacated or was made vacant by the CACS's actions.
That is correct.
Eric,
Also, I
Eric,
would like to point out that after speaking with County Council today, it was explained to Member Kirk that it is appropriate to talk about this at this agendized item for the simple fact that it was the removal of Member Shaw, who was the former chair. So it didn't need to be agendized by the very simple fact that we had election of Chairperson Pro Tem. It was appropriate to address this and talk about it, and therefore nothing needed to be agendized. We didn't receive that removal until Saturday, as I noted in the record.
But we did not act on it as a board, and the bylaws do outline cause for removal. But under those cause, I don't see where it fit in.
It'll be noted on the record.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to be signing off now because I'm going to be going in a section where I'm going to lose everyone. So thank you. Good night.
Good night, Member Kirk. Do we have any members of the public that wish to make a public comment on item number 2? Okay, I do see 2 hands raised. Deborah Mendel, looks like your hand is raised. Do you wish to make a comment on item number 2?
Yes, thank you to all the volunteers. I appreciate it, and thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ms. Mendel. I do have a hand raised from Anna Ang. Ms. Ang, do you wish to make a comment on item number 2?
Yes, I do. I have a question. Since the appointment of the director seats for the Chinese American organizations are supposed to be ratified by the county superintendent, since Douglas Hsia was removed, doesn't that have to be resolved before you can actually hold elections at this time? Because that eliminates the representation of the Chinese American organizations.
Does that end your public comment, Ms. Ang?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. We will log into the record. Any other members of the public wish to make a comment on item number 2 of the agenda? Member Walthall, I see your hand is raised.
Yeah, I'd like to address what Ms. Ang just said. She said that the way she phrased it was that no Chinese organizations are being represented on the LMC board, and that's not true because we have Honey Lam as a representative of the Locke Foundation.
Thank you, Member Walthall. Are there any other members of the public that wish to make a public comment on item number 2?
I'd like to also add, too, that Daryl Wu is representing OCA, Organization of Chinese Americans. Thank you.
Member Walthall, you took all the thoughts in my mind out, and it was more appropriate for you to say that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Walthall. All right, let's see. Okay, I do not see any additional hands raised to make a public comment on item number 2. Oh, I have Joyce Ang, it looks like. Give me one moment. Joyce, did you wish to make a comment on item number 2 of the agenda?
Actually, it's Alex Ng. I'm sorry.
Oh, so I see. Okay.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to clarify something.
Can you hear me? Can you hear
We
me?
can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Okay, now, the last person who spoke was questioning what? The situation regarding Douglas Shaw. And he has been removed, or he's not on the board anymore, and hence he's not a representative of the LMA for CACS. That does not mean that we do not have representation on the board on the for the LMA. Greg Jung is our pro tem representative for CACS on the LMA at this point. So if there are any questions, you can address them to me.
Is that in your public comment, Mr. Ng?
That is.
Thank you.
You ready to move on to item 3?
Member Lum, okay. Any additional hands raised? We can move on to item number 3. Item number 3 is public comments. We do have a clerk's note for this. So the clerk of the board's office has received numerous inquiries regarding the right of first refusal, and that issue will be added to the agenda for the next meeting. Do we have any additional public comments?
We do have some comments from board members.
Oh, looks like I have Member Walthall. You have your hand raised?
Yes. I again would like to bring up the county's bill. What's happening is the county seems to be a gatekeeper regarding what gets placed on public comment. This is kind of a sensitive issue with me, and I think some other board members, especially in the light that past Director Shaw had submitted a very inflammatory letter from a resident of Locke who has been having an ongoing argument with another resident of Locke. It didn't have anything to do with the Locke Management Corporation, and yet the county went ahead and published it. The person that had been derided in this letter had to jump through a lot of hoops to try to get that removed from the agenda package, and she even had a meeting with Supervisor Natoli. And yet when the sole executive director of the LMC process had sent in what I thought, and I still think is a very pertinent letter regarding, I don't want to get too specific here, but matters pertaining to the Locke Management Corporation. The county went ahead and just decided, well, we're not going to publish that. In fact, it's been a big issue trying to get the county to publish. The director process has sent in package material way ahead of schedule and had some of it not published. He's tried to follow up with phone calls that were not received, and yet people can send in things the day of the meeting and they get published. So I'm just wondering what is going on. We have to have a smooth conduit between the executive board of the Locke Management Corporation and Sacramento County. And if something is decided that it's not going to be placed in public comment, which I question, it should at least be clarified or a phone call answered. So that's my comment. I really don't expect a straight answer at this point. Consider it a comment.
Thank you, Member Wolfhow. I will have noted your comment, and I will prepare to work with you outside of this meeting, just so I can be clear about specifically what you didn't, the comment that Member Prasa, I think we're talking about a specific email from our county council.
That's just the latest. Maybe
Got it.
Mr. Prasa could address this.
Got it. I'm happy to address you or Member Prasa outside of the meeting so I can get specifics in terms of what that is. But I also would like to say for the record that now, I don't even want to say in our defense, but I will say that it has been very rocky considering all of the changes and the dynamics with this board. And we have tried our very best to communicate and to address the issues and to promote the Brown Act rules and some of the other rules and limitations around this board. And so if we have failed to do that, I do apologize. But I do want to say in our defense, it has been quite difficult to support this board. There has been several different changes, a lot of situations, a lot of turmoil amongst the board members, so many different things that we have tried to manage, and a lot of sensitive things. And it's also a very sensitive, litigious board as well, just given some of the other things before we had even stepped into the role. So some of the things that we're doing on our end is we will be meeting with our county council prior to every agenda to go over the agenda items. Also, we're hoping to include the chairperson or the vice chairperson once you guys elect your chairperson in that meeting for the agenda prep. And that's why we had stated in the record at the very beginning of the meeting that it would be the chairperson currently right now, your vice chairperson, who would be the liaison to communicate those agenda items to us in terms of what's going to be brought on your board. Again, I do apologize if there was a mix-up and something did get placed onto the agenda. And I don't even want to make an excuse and try and justify each one of those things, but I would request respectfully to have a conversation outside of the meeting to address those things so that we could provide that clarity and also just so we would know how to serve you better.
Thank you.
Well,
you're welcome.
And I would like to follow that up with saying the main goal is, especially with the new executive board we have, the goal with a core group of individuals who have volunteered from the very beginning of the reinstatement of this board has been the governance of Locke. The issues, especially the personal ones that were a result of our previous chairman, have really clouded this whole issue. What we want is smooth governance of Locke, get our bills paid, maintain the town, and help the town, and be transparent. It's been so difficult. I agree with you. This last year has been a mess. But I thank you, and I look forward to communicating with you outside of this meeting.
Thank you, Member Wolfhow. I do too.
And Member Pross, I see your hand up.
Yes, I won't belabor this point anymore. If we can agree and if we can get some assurance of that, Florence, that after the upcoming holiday, after Thanksgiving sometime, we can set a date when we can get together either by phone or in person or in some way as a group to work out these problems and allow us to bring some of the items that have been overlooked in the past, not necessarily to point fingers or to beat anybody up, but to give examples to try to overcome these things so that we don't have these problems in the future. Because our goal here is to try to make this process as smooth as possible and not throw a lot of labor onto you at the county. That's not our goal here. And we don't mean to beat anybody up, but when we're trying to communicate, when our channel of communication seems like it's been throttled and there's nothing coming back toward us, it gets frustrating, and we start to think that, well, there are other processes at hand behind the scenes. I hope you can appreciate that. With
I can.
the lack of information begets a lot of misinformation.
Yes, it does. And I agree with you 100%. I will say, too, that one of the things that worked really well with us, and it was very unfortunate to lose the former secretary, because when she was in place, Diane, she worked very closely with our office. We met with her regularly in setting the agenda, and she was just a wonderful liaison, if you will. But what we had established at that time, when we stepped in the role of just kind of helping you along, we weren't necessarily too far into the process, and it was a little bit difficult under that leadership to get beyond where we were able to go. But she was very instrumental in that secretary role. It worked very well with us, and we seemed to be able to streamline some of the communication and get those agenda items. Now, granted, that was a different leadership, but I wanted to just speak to that in terms of there was a point where things were working as far as we were concerned in terms of the communication and having a channel so that we could help to, get the communication translated between the board members, the greater body. Again, I can't necessarily speak to the details of that, the leadership and those dynamics. It just isn't even appropriate at this point, and it's a moot point. But your point and Member Walthall's point is well taken, and I do look forward to doing that. And maybe we would be able to do it before the holidays. But I will have Jillian, my secretary, reach out to you both, and we could set up a meeting. The only thing that I caution is that we would limit that meeting to 2 members at a time, just out of respect for out of caution for the Brown Act violation, because we wouldn't want to have more than a quorum. So it would be nice if the 3 of us could get together, and maybe if I could even include some other county staff. But at the very minimum, if the 3 of us could meet, I would like to know what those issues were, and if I could be given the opportunity to get to the bottom of it.
I'd appreciate that, Florence, and you're welcome to invite whoever you think appropriate.
Thank you.
Florence, I'd like to add one thing too. Honey Lum has not been, she's rather new to the board and may not be, well, definitely is not as familiar with all the past communications that may come up in our meetings. So if we can only choose 2 people, I would suggest myself and Joe Prosta, because we're the primary ones that are going to be dealing with the communications we're talking about. I realize you got a ton of communications from the previous chairman, but regarding a smooth line of communication, I would suggest myself, I don't want to, diminish Honey Lum's importance here, but I do know that she has less experience with what we're talking about.
And
Sorry.
And Stuart, I support you and Joe moving forward to communicate with Florence to take care of any of the communication issues.
Thank you.
So that we would have a smooth transition moving forward.
Yeah, thank you, Member Lum. I was going to suggest, and what I thought was that our initial meeting would be with you and Member Prasa, and then what I was hoping was that we could continue and use the same process that we were with the former secretary, and that is who we worked with to set the agenda.
I think that's a great idea.
It sounds good.
Yeah, so that would be you, Mr. Walthall. So I was looking forward to that when you were elected.
Too.
Yeah.
Thanks, Florence.
You're welcome.
Okay. Do we have any other directors that wish to make a comment on this item? Okay. It looks like I do have public comment. So I'm going to try my best. This is the order that I saw the comments come in. I have Joyce Eng. Joyce, were you looking to make a public comment on item number 3?
Well, Joe, actually, this is Alex.
Alex, okay. Thanks,
Okay.
Alex.
First of all, I want to address the misunderstanding about the first right of refusal, the way it was worded on the last meeting's agenda. As we all know, we're all human. And it was a mistake in the wording. The word should have been waived or exception, but the word rescinded was entered into the agenda. And I think that's what caused all this huge outcry and uproar. And now I'd like to give Mr. Hsia the benefit of the doubt. And I understand his zeal and his motivation in terms of trying to promote the history and preservation of Locke. Now, the first right of refusal has been in our bylaws, in our CCNRs from day one, since the inception of the LMA. And it has been enforced all throughout the years. And I want to caution all organizations, all advocates, to at least double check your information before you take what you see on the internet for granted. Now, I talked to Mr. Hsia in person, and I asked him if he verified that information, either with the county or with Locke. He did not. And I would advise everybody and anybody before acting on something like this to double check your sources, because it can cause a lot of disruption. Now, given all the attention that it's received, I think it has a silver lining in that attention is being called to Locke, attention is being called to the former plight of the Chinese Americans. But please do check your sources. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Okay, I have Douglas L. Yang. Douglas, do you wish to make a comment?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm a descendant of Locke. I lived there from 1951 to 1964.
Douglas L. Yang?
I take, sorry, someone's unmuted.
Would you
My
mute
apologies.
Alex, please?
There we go. Okay,
So I
Mr.
live in Woodlands, Texas currently since 2008. So I've recently been informed of this meeting, so I attended it by Zoom. I plan to get involved in the politics starting now. And I just want to know if the meeting that I can't remember the woman's name, Florence, correct? Florence and some of the other directors are going to have a discussion. I'd like to be involved in that discussion. Is that possible?
Mr. Al Yang, does that end your public comment?
I'd like an answer.
My apologies, Mr. Al Yang. I can try to see if I can have a follow-up on the information that you're asking, but public comment is meant to make a comment, and it's not a formal discussion between the public and, say, the county or directors.
Then you can get back to me.
Thank you. Anything additional to add, Mr. Al Yang? You still have a minute and a half left on public comment.
No.
Okay, thank you. The next one, I have Anna Eng. Anna, were you looking to make a public comment?
Yes, I am. I have a question about the meeting that Florence and the several of the directors are intending to have also in private. why the public is not privy to that is part of as a public meeting, since it does affect Locke Management. My other public comment is that in response to Alex and others here, the greater Chinese American community has expressed their concerns in the public comment towards the right of refusal and the protection of these things, to basically assert our position and our overall history of Locke. And so whether we are truly concerned that these protections remain and be protected, then we are also very concerned that the 3 director positions for the Chinese American organizations will also remain protected positions on the Locke board. And we are also very concerned that whether the descendants list has been annually updated and made current, and that descendants have been updated annually, and what this process has been in terms of the process of doing it. And I think we're addressing some of these comments about accuracy. As far as the greater Chinese American community is concerned, these are the issues that we see to be very, very important, and we want to impress upon the board that these are issues that are still very, very important and pertinent to the community. And so we just want to impress upon the board that these precedents and protections be carried forth and honored and remain. That's all my final comment.
Thank you, Ms. Tang. Okay, next I have Douglas Shaw. Mr. Shaw, if you would like to
Hi,
make a
good
public
evening,
comment.
everybody. Hi. Yes. Well, yes. Well, being an insider of the executive committee, and there has been many conversations from member Walter that Locke is no longer a Chinese town, and it is his intention to reduce the number of Chinese representation on the board of LMC, just like he did with the Locke Foundation. He already succeeded to reduce the number of Chinese representation on the Locke Foundation board. And also, this is recorded in our emails, which in black and white. I still have a record, and also many conversations. And then he also talked about doing away with the right of first refusal on many occasions, and for the fact that many of the descendants, eligible descendants, they are complaining that they never received any postcards they were supposed to send to them. And then there is written evidence on my record that it's Stuart Walter's intention to do away with the right of first refusal. So this is actually in the record, black and white, and it's in many conversation and exchange of emails. And so the intention is clear and present. So I really appreciate the fact that we have woke up the attention of the Chinese American community. This is actually happening, and it's clear that Stuart and Joe Plaza, they want to take the driver's seat. Okay, it's obvious that it's evident that from this meeting you can see that they just want to take the driver's seat and they just want to drive LMC the direction they want to. It's clear. If anybody care for all this written record, I'm happy to share with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Do we have any other members of the public to wish to make a public comment on item number 3 of the agenda? Okay, seeing no hands raised, I do see.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Matt. Okay, let's see. Mr. Shaw, I do see your hand raised, but you've already made your public comment. The 3 minutes have elapsed. I'm looking for any other additional public comments from any other members of the public. If not, Stuart, I do see your hand raised. Oh, Deborah Mendel.
Hello,
Deborah?
my
Hi.
name's Russell Ohms. I used to be the chair of the Locke Management Association, as we called it in those days. I just like to point out, oftentimes, it's just a general comment to the world at large that a lie has no side. There's no two sides to a lie. It stands alone, empty, meaningless. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I do not see any additional hands for any other speakers that have not made a public comment on this item. Member Walthall, I do see your hand raised.
Yes. I'd like to address what ex-chairman Shaw just mentioned. Regarding the Locke Foundation and lowering the number of Chinese representatives, that was done in order to open seats because we were handcuffed. We could not get any more willing volunteers on the Locke Foundation board. The consequence of lowering, and we also eliminated the state park seat, historic preservation. These seats were placed in the boilerplate CC&Rs and bylaws that were given to the Locke Foundation. I want to point out that none of the members of the Chinese that were Chinese representatives on Organization of Chinese Americans, the CACS, etc., were eliminated from that board. They all remained on that board. I think ex-chairman Sean needs to reread his bylaws regarding the first right of refusal too. That pertains to the Locke Management Corporation board. Strictly. It's not trying to anyway diminish the Chinese history and legacy of the town of Locke. And I have said that Locke is no longer a Chinese community. There's 8 Chinese that live in Locke now, and I point that out to visitors when I give docent tours, that Locke is now a historic community, much like the Gold Country towns are. This is why the Locke Foundation is working so diligently to try to collect and preserve the oral histories, the artifacts, etc., of the town of Locke. Because the fact that the Chinese population has dwindled down to what it is, Locke is a historic community. So Douglas Shaw's comments, his one-sided comments, are simply another offshoot of what he did when he, knowing full well that the Locke Management Corporation was not trying to remove the first right of refusal clause from its bylaws. That's my comment.
Are there any other directors that wish to make a comment on this item? Okay, with that, I'd like to end the item. We'll leave item number 3. Member Lum, or I should say Vice Chair Lum, with your permission, we can adjourn the meeting.
Yes. Are there any other comments from the board before we adjourn? Manuel, do we need to talk about a future meeting or placeholder?
Future meeting date, I mean, we normally do this once every 2 months. But if you do have any matters that are more pressing in time, you can call a special meeting. That would need to be agendized, and we here at the Clerk of the Board's office would work with you to do that. That would, if we had a special meeting, it would be December 12th. If not, the next meeting would be January 9th, 2023. And we can discuss that through communications via email.
Could I ask my current officers whether or not there's any urgent business that we need to take care of before January?
I don't see any hands raised,
No?
Member Lam.
Okay. Then we'll wait till January.
Okay, and like I said, we will keep in communications. We'll have January as a normal meeting date. And
Okay.
again, just to confirm, that was January 9th, I believe. Yes.
January 9th. With that, then I would call to adjourn the meeting with no other comments.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Okay, everybody, meeting adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all.
Thank you.